Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me. My name is Melissa, and this is a tarot reading for the overall energies surrounding the masculine and the feminine. The masculine is the runner and the feminine is the chaser. So with this reading, I have decided to combine the energies of both the masculine and feminine, the runner and the chaser. So it's very important that we begin to see that these energies are not separate. We are both the masculine and the feminine, but because of, the twin flame community, different teachings, we've somehow created the separation. Well, it makes sense because the whole entire system has been created on separation. And so now it's like, okay, you and your twin are one. And even if you're not in a true twin flame relationship, you and the person that you're involved with, whether it be a karmic, a soulmate, a family, friend, you and them are still one. And so we need to stop with the separation. We need to understand that to become aligned, centered, and connected and grounded, we need to have both of these energies. And so if we continue to see these energies as separate and that person, that other person, that other human interaction as separate, then we're going to continue to feel separate from self, because basically the whole reason why we envision them as a separate entity is because of the system and because of the programming. But when we can start to see this person as part of us, because we are one together as a collective, then we're able to integrate that knowing and that we're not alone, that we're fully supported, that we have a purpose. And, it's not about them. It's not about the separation. It's about being in the moment and taking action. But what happens is we become dependent. All of our operating system, our mind is dependent on that person. And so within that situation, it's difficult to fully live your life the way Spirit intended for you to live it. And Spirit intended you to live your life with fulfillment. But, you probably can hear this truck in the background. That is a distraction. Right? And then you have enough distractions, or you have enough resentments or disappointments, and then it builds up, and then it stays in your system, and then you continue to take all of that onto the next relationship, the next experience. So what we're being guided to do is to say, enough is enough. I am a sovereign being. I deserve love. I am worthy of everything. And begin to live your life with that knowing. So you wake up in the morning and you're happy to start the day. And maybe it's about you setting the intention, getting out of bed, speaking, this new reality, speaking it out, speaking it clearly, even saying it out loud, having little Post-its around the house, surrounding yourself with uplifting, supportive people, journaling, and anything that you can do to feel comfortable being where you are. Because this is the only place that you can ever be, no matter how hard you try to, create something different, no matter how hard you try to attach to another person. It's just an illusion. We are all one. So when we have this understanding and we have this awareness, then we're able to integrate it. And so here, this is what I'm saying. Here we have the King of Coins, which is the King of Pentacles, and this king represents the physical, This person has mastered the art of action, of being grounded, and having the determination to get to the end, right? But the way they do that is they live in the moment, right? And they're moving their energies, but with intent. So if you're feeling really scattered and you're really much, you're a lot in the future, so some of the things you can do is very intently touch different textures, whether it be a glass, and feel it. So it's like, as you're going to pick up something, you want to envision that you're consciously feeling. It's like putting this chapstick on, and then this chapstick, I just love this chapstick, it feels so good. You're making the bed, and as you're making the bed, you're running your hands across the fabric. You're feeling that texture. You're taking a drink. You're feeling that soothing liquid moving through your throat, and you're feeling energized. It's rejuvenating, hopping in the bath and like only putting your toe first, and then slowly feeling your foot submerged under the water, and the feeling, the sensation of the water moving up against your limb, and thinking that this is your limb, being like, thank you for this body, thank you for this physical experience, thank you for this water, thank you for providing me with everything that I need. And by doing so, you become more content and comfortable being in that moment because you're grounded. So here, the Two of Coins. So this is about balancing. And then here, the Three of Coins. This is about the blueprint. So it's sitting down with yourself and communicating to your family and friends, your support systems, and expressing to them what it is that you envision, who you are and who you want to be, and explain it clearly so that they can understand that that it's very important to you to become the best version of yourself, to be successful. And by just making that choice, ultimately what's going to happen is they're either going to be part of this process, or they're going to pretend that they're part of the process but continue to do the same thing, and then you're going to be tested whether or not you want to continue to put up with that, because it's very easy to be distracted. So sometimes they'll tell you what you want to hear, and then they actually won't follow through with it. So if you have made a final decision to no longer partake in a relationship or experience that is preventing you from fully living your life, and you communicate that to that person, and then that person turns a blind eye or refuses to listen, then that will be you being tested. So have you learned the lesson? Are you going to speak your truth and tell them once more and continue to tell them over and over? Or are you going to just be like, let go lovingly, right? Because people will choose to keep you in that dynamic. They will, because they're on their own program. So they will continue to push push your limits. They will continue to continue avoiding what it is that they need to. They'll continue to avoid. I lost it, but that's okay. So basically, you know, and I feel like a lot of people do that with the twin, like within the twin flames or relationships in general. They'll express to the person how they're feeling, and they'll say it over and over and over and over again. And then that person will say, yeah, I understand. I'm listening. You know, I'm going to support you with this, and I'm going to respect what it is that you need. But then what happens is they can't follow through. You know, they pretend that they're supporting you, but they can't follow through. So then before you know it, you're back in the old dynamic, and that person still that hasn't got it, and then you're back to square one and you're stuck. So that's what, you know, Spirit's saying, enough is enough. Make a final decision to no longer be part of that dynamic, right? Here you go. And you can see all these people here. So they're like praising. They're so happy that this judgment, there was a final judgment. Because ultimately, if you make the judgment, then you're going to be creating a space for change. So you begin to change, and then you're creating a space for others to change. And then it's about them being, you know, admiring you, you know, and seeing how strong you are. And, you know, some people will resist this. You know, they won't want this dynamic to end, right? Because this is the only thing that they know. This is what's familiar, and that this is what's comfortable. But that's okay, because it's your say, right? You choose to change, and by doing so, you're creating a space. And with this space, this space is admire, you know, people who look from a distance, they look with admiration, and they're like, wow, I can't believe how much that person's changed. And they're either going to be threatened, you know, jealous, insecure, or they're going to be inspired, motivated, and, you know, come to you for guidance. And you're going to be in such a good place that you're going to be able to give it. Whereas in the past, you know, somebody came to you for guidance, you would give them the guidance, but you would give it from a place of feeling of separation, feeling of not being good enough, feeling that oh, you know, I have more wisdom, you know, judgment. And not everyone's like this, but in one way or another, if you're giving advice from an empty place, then it's like, you know, that's causing you to feel. Where am I going with this? It's like the energy that you're giving can only be so strong. Based on where you're at. Because like so many people give from this empty space, and then it feels fulfilling, you know, it gives them that feeling of I helped that person, I made a difference, but then ultimately you're not living with integrity, or you're not living with authenticity, because you actually are not practicing what you're preaching. So that's what I was going to say. That's what I'm talking about. And if you take that approach, you're going to continue to stay in this. You're going to be in a pause. You're going to be the observer. You're going to be, you know, staying the same, and people around you are going to continue to are going to benefit from your advice. But it's like, you know, it's about you actually taking your own advice. Because the other thing too, I feel like a lot of feminines kind of like, they project, it's like the masculine energy experiences a lot of projection. And I think that's, if you think about it, this is common because of the patriarchy, and there's so many females who have taken more of a masculine role because of their, so because if they didn't become more masculine, they weren't able to overcome the system. So they took on the masculine energy. I'm talking from a female perspective. And then it was the matter of like, with that, the feminine energy wasn't as strong, and then they weren't able to receive. They weren't able to they weren't able to bring that which they desire to fruition. They weren't able to ground and take action because they were focused, all their energy was focused on the other person. And so the projection of the masculine, so there's so many females whose masculine energy is predominant, but with that, then they're projecting this masculine energy on to the men who are also hyper masculine. And then there's just, it continues to increase this masculine. And for us to have a world that is, to live in a world where we all have everything provided for, we have more than enough to give to others, that this can only be fully achieved by having community, by allowing, by being comfortable, being taken care of, by trusting, right? Because once again, there's so many females who are hyper masculine that don't trust, right? Because they weren't, in the past, they weren't properly provided for. The system didn't provide for them. Spirit is always providing for us, but it's about the system disappointing us. And then that's what happened. So then all the females had to rise up. They become hyper masculine, and then they weren't receptive. So they chased the masculine, and then the masculine feel demasculinized, and then they continue to run because the female wasn't cultivating a space of receptivity. They weren't living in the moment. They were projecting, their insecurities, their all this negativity onto the masculine. Okay, and I'm speaking from a female perspective, right? But I do believe that within the collective, there's many men, primarily, who are hyper masculine, and with this hyper masculinity, and they've become unbalanced. So that this imbalance causes this imbalance, it basically doesn't allow for them to live their life with authenticity. So it's not just the masculine, it's the feminine. We are one. So it's like, as soon as we stop taking our focus, when we stop focusing on the other person, we're able to go within and focus on ourselves, right? And so that's why I said in the beginning of this reading, I want to start talking about, we need to stop with the separation. The other person has their experience, you have your experience. This is the physical world. Yes, we're all connected spiritually, but we have to remember that this is your life experience. And, it has nothing to do with them. They've made the conscious decision to not be in a relationship with you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if we don't change, if we don't make different, if we continue to stay stuck and do what we're doing, we're going to continue to have the same outcome. And now we have the truck, so it's like, once again, distraction. And so just remember, right? The system was created to suppress, to distract. You and your love interest, and you and I and me and, you know, everyone else that exists within this human experience is part of the oneness. I am one. So we need to continue to remember that and take one step in front of the other, slowly but surely, little by little. And as I was saying, you know, really connect with the textures, physically ground by envisioning your foot, you know, stepping firmly on the floor, listening to, you know, the swallowing of water, and just continue to do this consistently, and you're going to notice a shift in your energy. So I'm going to stop this reading at this, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you received great benefit for it. I would love to hear your in the comments. And so thank you so much, and much love to you all, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.